Okay, everybody, let's take it from the top.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hi-ho, everybody, and welcome back to D Plus Us, the show about all things Disney. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin Tennell, Griffy D-Pad, and with me, as always, is the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Mitch George. How you doing?
I am so happy to be here. I was going to do a bit where I was just going to talk about Pooh's Heffalump movie and do it for as long as I could until you realized I was talking about the wrong movie. But after having rewatched Christopher Robin, I can now say without a doubt this is one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time.
This movie
and you're about
hit
to find
us.
out why.
This movie hit us way more than either of us expected. For what it's worth,
I fully expected it. I'm here for Ewan.
let me get into the rigmarole, and then I'll tell the story. Of course, for folks, thank you for listening. This is D Plus Us, where we talk about Disney stuff each and every episode. If you like that, go ahead and subscribe to the show. If you're ever on podcast services, head on over to their YouTube channel, youtube.com/@DPlusUs, to check out the video version of the podcast and other stuff that we may or may not be putting up at any given moment. You can go check out other episodes. Our last episode was on Treasure Planet. Our next episode is going to be about Next Goal Wins.
Or potentially X-Men 90s.
Yeah, it depends on release schedules. And go ahead and check out our weekly show when X-Men 97 drops, because obviously we'll be talking about that.
Do we know if that's a weekly drop?
It is a weekly drop.
Okay, I didn't think we'd seen confirmation of that. So that's
Yeah,
good
someone
to know.
had tweeted it out, an official source or something. Yeah, I know it's a weekly drop. Anyways, yeah, but we're not talking about any of that today, though. Today we're talking about the 2018 movie Christopher Robin, starring Ewan McGregor, Haley Atwell, Jim Cummings, Brad Garrett, directed by Mark Forster, screenplay by Alex Ross Perry, Tom McCarthy, and Allison Schroeder. Obviously based off of Winnie the Pooh. Released to us on August 3rd, 2018. Runtime of 104 minutes. Box office of $197.7 million. This was one of those where we threw it on our list of like, hey, we got to talk about these movies. As like, hey, we remember this movie being good. This is one for me where I'm like, yeah, I remember having a good time with that. Not really thinking too much about it. Man, this movie hits like a brick now.
Like I said off the top, I think this is one of my top 10 favorite films of all time. It was one that I really loved when it first came out in 2017. You probably said it. I might not have been paying attention.
2018.
As I confirm, 2018. As I confirm the X-Men 97 stuff, and you were correct. It is coming out weekly, so that's great. Yeah, I mean, I just love Ewan McGregor. I love the idea of an adult playing in like this kid's world or trying to relive their childhood, and it just, oh boy. This is one, like, it's this and Toy Story 3. When we inevitably do Toy Story 3, they're going to hit me like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, there's something very specific I have in mind for when we inevitably talk about Toy Story 3. You probably know who it is.
I was going to say, is it another 92 baby? Because I feel like it hits hardest for us.
His name is Cameron Hawkins. He is a super fan. I love him. He's the best.
Yeah, that tracks. He's great.
Are you surprised? No. No one is. This is a movie that hit really hard. I watched it a little bit ago, like hours before recording this one, and I did not expect this to hit as hard as it did. And I think a big part of that is because of when I first saw it versus when I'm seeing it now. This is going to be an episode, folks, that this is going to probably be one of our deeper episodes.
Yeah, the world has changed a lot in the last 6 years, so it definitely, I mean, we've changed a lot in the last 6 years, becoming full-time employees for the most part.
Yeah, 6 years ago, I was not worrying about, about work in the way that I do now. 6 years ago, I was a college student.
World changes slightly when you start working full-time, and this movie is evidence of that.
Oh boy, yeah. This so much of this. There's a moment in here where I was like, I had to pause the movie because I'm just bawling.
Yeah. And I think I know exactly when that was.
Yeah, it's about an hour into the movie. Yeah, this movie is so good. Even aside from just like how much it emotionally hits, everyone's great. I think so many people know this movie because of the memes that came out around it. Particularly.
memes?
Oh, there was a big meme about just because it's Ewan McGregor of him being Winnie the Pooh and then Winnie the Pooh saying General Kenobi. Do you not remember this?
I totally missed this. No, none of it.
Oh man,
rings a
this
bell.
was like a moment for this movie. I remember this vividly. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you there. I'm just weird, but yeah, I think this is a movie that
okay.
this is a top tier Disney movie. Probably one of the better Disney movies put out in the last decade.
In terms of live action, I think it's right up there with like Saving Mr. Banks in terms of the emotional weight that Disney put behind something that should seem so, made for, like, Disney has always done this great thing where they make films for children that relate to adults. And I think this is a film made for adults that children can enjoy, if that makes sense.
I would very
And
much
there isn't as wide a berth of those kind of films that Disney's made. You've got Saving Mr. Banks are the two that come to mind.
agree. That's really
Kind of
good.
blanking when it gets past that, but like those are films that are made for adults, but with that Disney charm. And I think we need more of them because honestly, this is, like I said, one of my favorite Disney films of all time and one of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah, it's
probably
definitely up there for me as well.
Yeah, probably Ewan McGregor's greatest performance.
I don't know.
would
He's had a
argue.
lot of amazing performances.
I mean, I will say there are a lot of films I haven't seen. Like I haven't seen Train Spotting, which I know he's fantastic in. Just going through his Wikipedia or his IMDb a little bit, but in general, like there's not much that holds up to the kind of transformation his character goes through in this movie. I think it's just fantastic. Just fantastic.
Yeah, I obviously we will fully spoil this movie, but if you haven't seen this movie before, like before we talk about this any further, turn this podcast off. Go watch this movie. Come back when you're ready, because this is not a movie I think we can really talk about it much more without spoiling it.
I mean, we've already kind of dabbled a little bit. If you haven't seen this movie from 6 years ago, I would go and give it a watch, then come right back.
The couple things I do want to shout out, though, before we really jump into it. Just first off, this film was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. I don't think it won.
I don't think so either.
It's the 91st Academy Awards, 2018. That would have been, I think, a Marvel movie won that year.
Or was that Shape of Water's year where it won everything?
Oh, you know what it was? It was First Man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that deserved it. That was Denis
Fantastic
Armstrong movie. It was also the year Infinity War came out, by the way. Also the year Ready Player One came out. In terms of just graphics.
Can we just forget that? Can we just forget that came out?
Honestly, no, because my TikTok is full of Ready Player One right now for some reason.
Book is so much better.
Oh, significantly so.
I've got Ready
Even
Player
though
2 sitting on a bookshelf. I still got to get to it.
It's not good.
Oh.
The author of those books is kind of an incel, and you can can really tell in that second book.
That's unfortunate.
No, we're gonna fully spoil this movie from here on out, so yeah, be ready for that. I don't even know where to begin with this one, man. Where do you want to start with this?
Maybe the cast? Because, like, outside of Jim Cummings reprising his role of Pooh and Tigger, and Brad Garrett reprising his role as Eeyore, which I don't even remember, but apparently he played Eeyore in the 90s in a bunch of, like, CD-ROM games. This voice cast is a fucking banger, dude.
Oh, yeah. Also, for what it's worth, them showing up as themselves as Christopher Robinson Plays was also very funny to me.
That was very nice. Yeah, I appreciated that for sure.
But yeah, looking at some of the people on here, Peter Capaldi, Nick Mohammed, Toby Jones, Sophia Canido, Sarah Sheen. Like, everyone does such a good job in these roles. Obviously, Jim Cummings has, as Pooh has, obviously will just have a bigger role in all of this. But everyone does such a good job in it. You can tell that they all love these characters.
And just like you look at that, it's like, okay, there's some names you recognize, some names you don't. And then you think, 2018, no one knew who Nick Mohammed was. He'd done a few roles here and there, and then absolutely blows up with Ted Lasso over the last couple of years. It's just like to go back in hindsight and be like, wow, Disney was a stepping stone for him to get to bigger and better things was kind of neat for me when I was going through this cast list. But also, like, you've got the Doctor.
Yeah.
Like, it's just wild to me, man.
Admittedly, not the person I think of when I think of the Doctor, like, because
I mean, we all think David Tennant, of course.
I mean, even then, I think of I think of Peter Capaldi before I think of
Chris Eccleston, Jodie.
Foster.
Can't remember her. No, goddamn, no, it was.
I do. She is up there for me though. But no, I want to give a special shout out though to
Whittaker.
Mark Whittaker. Thank you to Mark Gatiss. In this movie. 'Cause God, I hate him. I hate him so much. You're supposed to hate him.
He's so easy to hate. So easy to hate.
It's so good.
And he's done it so many times. Like he did it as Mycroft Holmes in the Sherlock series, Benedict Cumberbatch. It's just like he has such a punchable face, and it's perfect for these kind of roles.
But honestly, I think one of the best performances in this entire movie is from Bronte Carmichael, who plays Madeline, who plays his daughter. This kid is so good.
I mean, crazy seeing this and then realizing she pops up in Andor as what's her name's daughter. Not Moff. Who's the good lady that I can't remember the name?
Mon Mothma?
Mon Mothma. Yeah, she plays Mon Mothma's daughter in Andor.
Yeah, like she's great in this. Everyone's so good in
She's
this.
got chops for sure.
The music, especially in this.
Oh my god, getting Richard Sherman back and then getting that cameo at the end is just.
Well, it's also just the way this movie starts with this increasingly somber version of the Winnie the Pooh like theme as we go through Christopher Robin's life. It's like it's brutal. It is a hard way to start a movie. We are going to make sure you know that, like, hey, we're not starting this movie off at a very happy point. We're going to get there. That's the point. But, like, hey, life happens.
It's another one of these things of this coming of age story where your childhood just dies in a moment. I can only really think of a couple instances where I felt that kind of emotional response to an opening scene, and one is Up, because like, especially being married now, I can't watch that movie without tearing up.
You're not
and
human
the second one,
if you can watch that
no,
without.
And the second one being the aforementioned Toy Story 3, because that whole opening with Andy growing up, it's just like, oh no, my emotions.
Yeah, I think this is one for me where it's like that opening sets it so well and instantly makes us relatable, even if we can't necessarily relate to going off to war in World War II.
Also very true. Yeah.
But yeah, the whole thing of life happening, like you quickly lose that childhood in a sense. And it's kind of one of those things where you don't realize it's gone until it's gone.
And we all kind of, as we grow up, have a moment like that, whatever it might be. For me, it was waking up today with a sore shoulder. For you, it might be waking up one day and putting your lunch together to go to work. For others,
I lost it
might be
long ago.
It might not happen for some people, and just
I think
incredible that the way time has the kind of effect on people that it can.
Yeah, I think a big part of this show, at least the reason why this show exists, right? Having started this show a few years ago now, is very much kind of remembering to grasp at that every once in a while, is remember what that childhood wonder was like.
Why did we watch this movie? It's the exact opposite.
Last episode we watched Treasure Planet, and that was great.
That was fun. I will give you that.
But what I think I kind of come out of this movie with is like that childhood wonder is very much still there. It's just the innocence with it that is gone now. Which is that hard part to find. Like wonder in the world, especially today, feels non-existent. Little things can get me there, but just look around. The world's on fucking fire. everything is chaos. Like it is hard to take that moment for yourself, and I think that this movie does a really good job of setting that up, of showing this person who was previously this imaginative, wonderful, loving kid. He's still that kid. The world is just the world, and he has had to adapt to that. But I might be projecting a little bit right now. I feel like this movie just really hit with everything that's going on right now.
Yeah, I know the current state of the global economy is hard to deflect with everything going on right now. I feel like everyone working as an adult is on pins and needles on any day's notice. And
yeah, like
this movie was actually kind of a nice reprieve from that, of that sense of, you know what? The sky isn't falling. I can take a holiday. And when nothing happens, the very best some things can, or something along those lines. I don't remember the exact quote. I'm mucking it up the same way that
doing nothing can sometimes lead to the very best something.
Exactly. And I think we can all take that lesson to heart from this film and spend a little more time doing nothing.
Yeah, you're telling the workaholic that.
You and I both, all right?
Yeah, we both struggle with that. I think this one, like, especially hit with the work stuff. Like, little glimpse into the personal life of Griffin here. I don't know when this is coming out. My company had layoffs yesterday.
Weeks, probably. Yeah.
So watching this the day after that happens really messes with your head.
I really should have gotten about I got about halfway through this last night. I should have messaged you, be like, hey, we can pass on this one this week if you want. Like, I can watch literally anything else.
Did I remember at all
your mental health.
Did I remember at all that this man has to fire people at the beginning? That's the part of the struggle of this movie? No, I did not remember any of that going in.
Those first 15 minutes must have been rough.
Oh, it was something. It's very specifically, it is the moment when he's on the train, like red Xing people's names. Was the part where it hit. It's like, oh yeah, that's what's happening right now.
That happens, and that's not the way it should be.
No, we should try to support each other, and thankfully they do in the movie at least.
Do your best to protect yourself by surrounding yourself with good people, or if you're in a position where you can't unionize your workplace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, workers' rights are so fucking important. Fight for them, because that's what keeps you employed. It's kind of what we're learning right now, and not
necessarily that it does, but it provides you with the protection that you might need.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily keep you employed, but it does make things better. Yeah, that moment, and then for me, it is the moment when all of that gets set aside in the 100 Acre Wood. Like, all of that, he has to put it aside. He is forced to do so, and it is for the best. It is what makes the change happen in this movie. And it is nothing short of beautiful. The part that I mentioned that had me bawling is the moment of him sitting and talking to Pooh, apologizing. And the line was like, I'm not a hero, I'm lost. And Pooh responding with, but I found you. Like, just full on, I just had to pause the movie and take a minute, because that just hit so fucking hard.
Speaking of pausing things because things are hitting hard, again, this is going to be a behind-the-scenes peek at what we do. Can we put a pin in this recording for, like, I don't know how long? I just got paged from work.
Yeah, we'll pause this. Honestly, yeah, that kind of just works for this show. We'll pause this thing.
Timing. I'm glad I found a break, because I do have to go and resolve this. I'll be back as soon as I can.
We'll be back in a second in the power of editing. Yay. And we're back. For y'all, it has been seconds. For us, it's been a little under 24 hours.
Because
I don't remember what time last night we were recording. So.
I remember what time I got the alert. So for those who don't know, part of my job involves being on call once every 2 months. Technically, it's 365, 24/7, but primary part of my job is responding to things that happen off hours, which is unfortunate, but it happens. And unfortunately, it happened right in the middle of our recording last night.
And honestly, of all the episodes for that to happen, this is like kind of the perfect episode to talk about it. This movie being so much about that kind of shit.
Work-life balance and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we kind of were getting on last night about a lot of this has been like, when is enough when it comes to work-life balance?
And I will say that we're kind of leaning into the themes of the film in this episode, but to the credit of my employer, I basically I was paged in. It was like 8-ish, whatever. So I messaged my boss at like, I sent her the message. It is 12:57 a.m. I am now signing off. You will not hear from me tomorrow. And then I checked in the morning at like 7 a.m. She's like, get some rest. Mm-hmm. So it's not that it's an unhealthy environment. It's just part of the job, unfortunately.
And for what it's worth, with me, it is very much the same way. Of like, yeah, sometimes the hours are rough, but
I took a 4-hour nap today. It was great.
Work very much cares. I was telling you a story that I'm not going to tell on air. No,
you're not.
Of like, work is genuinely really awesome to us. That said, this movie very much was reminding me of why I try to keep a work-life balance.
You have to, I think. You have to maintain some of that innocence. I think us doing this is part of that. Us being as big into like comics and game. Like I'm sitting here with a brand new copy of a Switch game. Sitting here with a brand new copy of Spider-Man Life Story. Like, you have to maintain some of that youthful innocence as much as the world tries to tear it away.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of that stuff sitting around me. You can literally see most of it behind me.
I think my copy of the Marvel Haunted Mansion graphic novel is back here in the blur as well, and I got to get to that at some point. I have to decide if I'm going to read that first or Spider-Man Life Story.
My notebook full of D&D notes, because I still love that. Or, hey, let's keep it on nose for Disney. Disney Infinity figures.
Why?
Because it's Rapunzel.
Fine.
Can you really? This is the only one I have here. I have more in my bedroom. I got really into.
Watch you while you sleep.
Well, no, they're all in a box. I genuinely have no idea what to do with these things. I've had them since Disney Infinity was active. I don't know what to do with them now.
I've really just got I've got Funko Pops in here and a few Disney Legos looking straight ahead. And then obviously I've unblurred my background on previous episodes and there's some Disney Lego behind me as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Disney Infinity was not one of those things that hooked me, thankfully, because Lego Dimensions was a costly Toys to Life experience.
It didn't hook me. It hooked my little brother. And I played with him. Mm-hmm. But like, I love very specific characters like Rapunzel. And so
we still got to do that Tangled episode.
Yeah, I know. That was one of those we were supposed to do it with.
It's on the list, right?
Well, we had a guest for it, and then that guest has just been consistently busy.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
But yeah, bringing it back to to Christopher Robin. This is one of our weirder episodes.
Sorry.
Hey, it's not your fault. Yeah, I think it's just an important reminder. Is. Yeah, not really. You couldn't control anything about it.
I could have tried to get out of it sooner, but they needed the guidance. Unfortunately,
couldn't control anything about that, and that's the point I'm trying to get to here.
Sorry.
Yeah, y'all, work can suck. So remember to take the time away from work when you need to, and when you are able to. I recognize that not everyone is able to do that. Sometimes you're in a situation like Mitch, we're having to go work it last night. So take the time for yourself. And finally, we are going to jump into this plot of this movie, however long into this episode we are. Real interesting, because I was totally prepared to do the recap last night, like fresh off the movie. I'm not prepared tonight, so this is going to be interesting.
Even better.
Actually, there is one thing we didn't talk much about last night that I do want to talk about before now that I remember. We were talking about all of the great acting in this movie. And not once did we bring up Haley Atwell.
Haley Atwell.
So just a quick shout out to Haley Atwell in this movie, because she is also fantastic. Anyways,
I will watch literally anything that she is in or Ewan McGregor is in.
Yeah.
As much as I don't really want to watch the next Mission Impossible film.
Really?
I enjoyed the movies, and then I got to a point where I'm just like, oh, it's another one. And this one, he's jumping out of a plane or a spaceship or a moving submarine. I don't know where they're at
See,
this
I
point.
just want to see the next one because the last one ended on a cliffhanger because it was a part one.
I don't think I saw the last one, so that might be part of it.
That's probably why, yeah. Anyways, this movie, not Mission Impossible, kicks off in the 100-Acre Woods where we get to see all of our favorite pals, Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, Eeyore, Tigger, Rabbit, Kangaroo, and Owl. All hanging out, having a good time.
One last picnic.
And they're throwing their farewell party for Christopher Robin, who is going off to boarding school. We have this very sweet moment between Christopher Robin, and Pooh about how they'll never forget each other. Spoiler alert: the point is that Christopher Robin's going to forget about them. We have this wonderfully sweet goodbye, and he leaves. And then we have one of the saddest montages in movies. Doing this alongside a slow, melodic, sad version of the theme to Winnie the Pooh, alongside the art style of the original books.
Yeah, the inspiration they drew from the books was really, really well done here.
Mm-hmm. And like having it be different chapters, like Christopher Robin leaves home, Christopher Robin gets bad news, stuff like that. Very well done. But he went off to boarding school, which was very rough for him. While there, he learns of his father's untimely death, which is not good. He moves back home, becoming the man of the house.
Largely based on the life of the author of the Winnie the Pooh books, because Christopher Robin was Christopher Robin Milne, who is the son of the original author, which there's another film on Disney Plus, at least here. I don't know if it is in the US as well.
Goodbye, Christopher Robin?
Goodbye, Christopher Robin, which I also want to watch, starring Domhnall Gleeson as A.A. Milne. So I'm looking forward to getting to that at some point.
If it's on Disney Plus, maybe we'll do an episode on that one too. Probably not back to back because I feel like we kind of need a break
we need to remove ourselves from some of this, sense of dread.
Yeah. But yeah.
The next one's got to be something real fun.
Speaking of that sense of dread, Christopher Robin gets sent off to fight in World War II.
There was that, yeah.
There's no good transition into that. I'm sorry.
Nope. First he marries Evelyn, and then
he marries Evelyn. They fall in love. Wife. Yeah, he leaves his pregnant wife. He's gone for 3 years. In the meantime, she has their child, Madeline. Yeah,
Madeline.
Eventually, he comes back, getting a job at Winslow Luggages, becoming the director of efficiency. His job sucks. The company is not doing well, being supervised by Giles Winslow Jr., who was just an absolute prick. He walks to the office, and it's great because a lot of these office people are played by the actual voices of the gang from the 100-Acre Woods. Particularly, my favorite of these was
Toby Jones.
Not Toby Jones, actually. Brad Garrett.
Brad Garrett's good.
Brad Garrett in this, because just the "oh bother" coming from Brad Garrett rather than Eeyore was just something that was so funny to me for some reason.
So good.
But yeah, he does find out that he has to decrease expenditures for the company by 20%, meaning that he is probably going to have to lay people off. He has to present this plan on Monday. He has the weekend to do it, which unfortunately falls along the same time that Christopher had planned on taking his family out to the cottage in Sussex where he had grown up, where the 100-Acre Wood is. Giles Winslow Jr. also says he's going to be working with him all weekend on it. He's not.
Oh, shit.
Like, this is absolutely a manager not working the weekend alongside their employees.
And it comes back to bite him at the end, so thank God for that.
Yeah, in a pretty great way, too. I love that he doesn't try to hide it at all until his dad.
He does try to hide it from his dad. He doesn't try to hide it from Christopher Robin.
Yeah, because he's just like, you're beneath me. He's a dick.
Yeah.
that night Christopher goes back, talks to his family about it. We also learn that he's going to be sending Madeline off to boarding school after the summer. So this was kind of their last trip together. But Madeline doesn't want to go, and it seems like Madeline's mother, Evelyn, does not want her to go either. Also, they're calling out Christopher Robin's terrible work-life management. Like, he's not around his family. Becoming the major crux of this movie. We get a very sweet but sad scene between Christopher and Madeline here, of her wanting him to read to her, but wanting him to read Treasure Island, even though
Treasure Planet,
Treasure Island,
Treasure Planet, Treasure Island, tomato.
Yeah, fair enough. Treasure Island, but he reads like this really boring history book. They go off. He goes back to work trying to figure some stuff out. While he's gone, Winnie the Pooh wakes up, walking out into the 100-acre woods, and cannot find anybody. After walking around for a while, decides, well, if I can't find anyone, I know who can, Christopher Robin. And goes off to find him, leaving the tree, but leaving the tree does not take him to Sussex. It takes him to London, to the park next to Christopher Robin's house. We see Christopher back in the office trying to figure some stuff out, going through some numbers, eventually getting it down to like 14% without having to lay people off.
Yeah, I think that's what he was scribbling on the train.
Mm-hmm. But he walks back. Getting home, he darts into the park to avoid his neighbor who wants to play gin rummy.
I feel so bad for the guy. Dude just wants to play a game of cards. They set a date, and then he totally bails on him to go to the 100-acre wood. We never get a resolution of that. He comes back the next day and goes right to work.
I'm going to give him the out for that part, but the rest of it he does not get the out on. Just play the cards with him. It's going to be easier. But yeah, we get all that. We get the reuniting of them. Everything about it is super, super sweet and wonderful.
Super cute.
And Pooh in the house is one of the most adorable, fun scenes in this movie.
Until you realize that they're going to come back after this weekend in Sussex and have all of this stuff to have to clean up when he destroys their kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude's just causing property damage left and right. And does no one want to stop and take a minute of just like, hey, Pooh, you need to be held accountable for your actions?
We also get one of the, like, Pooh has the best lines in this movie, easily. But we have one of my favorites here of, it's like, he's like, how can you tell it's me? It's like, it's still you looking out from behind your eyes. Like, maybe some more wrinkles.
Yeah.
But it's still you. Which is, you know, what the big point of this movie is. I love this movie, man. I kind of want to go rewatch it again.
It's a really good movie.
But I don't want to feel those emotions again.
I was going to say, that movie for me is similar to something like Up, where I absolutely love that movie. Up is another one of those movies where, like, I could watch this movie over and over and over again, but my emotional support system in my brain and in my life just cannot support me, you know, doing that to myself on repeat. So it's one of those things where it's got to be like, maybe once a year I can go back to something like this, but not any more frequent than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see the next time I rewatch this movie. Anyways, Christopher Robin is just kind of shocked that Pooh is there. Pooh kind of makes a mess of his house that first night. Very much just being Pooh. Like walking, accidentally getting covered in honey and just draping it through the house. Eventually he passes out. And I think it's very sweet that Christopher tucks Pooh into Madeline's bed.
That was cute, yeah.
The next morning, Pooh absolutely destroys the kitchen. And
fucking goes to town.
Christopher gets pissed. Being like, hey, I'm an adult. You need to go back to the 100-acre woods. I'm going to take you back, because apparently the only way back to the 100-acre wood is in Sussex.
Good. Go spend time with your goddamn family. No, you just spend the whole time trying to avoid them.
No, we have a great scene of him failing to avoid them. It's fantastic. He ends up taking him back. They go through a bit of an ordeal at the train station, actually getting on the train. Also buying Pooh a red balloon because it makes him happy. Kind of reminder to y'all that you can do things every once in a while that just make you happy. There doesn't need to be a purpose to it. Is that very much a reminder for myself right now?
Yes.
Yeah. They go through that. Pooh starts to play a game on there while Christopher does more work. We see him trying to figure out the numbers, and eventually he figures out, okay, here's what we have to do on the production side. Here's who we have to unfortunately fire. They eventually get to the 100-acre wood, where Pooh escorts him back, or where he escorts Pooh back to. But they kind of get into another fight, and Pooh disappears because he's thinking of Heffalumps and Woozles again. Christopher runs around looking for him, eventually getting scared of the Heffalumps himself. And after running for a little while, falls into the Heffalump trap that they had made so long ago, which eventually fills with rain, absolutely soaking him, but rising him back up to the top of the thing. Which at that point, the papers should have been ruined. I'm just saying. But
look, the MacGuffin had to make it all the way to the end, all right? It is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Coming out of that, eventually, he discovers Eeyore in the most Eeyore possible way. I love Eeyore.
Just let me die.
Floating to my death. Yeah, he saves Eeyore, who is not convinced that it is Christopher Robin. Runs into Piglet as well, who leads them to all of the other people who have been hiding in a tree trunk because the rusty weather vane from Owl's house had knocked over and was making a horrifying sound. He's not able to convince anyone that's him, so he takes Eeyore and pretends to fight and defeat the Heffalump in a wonderful, wonderful scene. The best part of which is once again Eeyore of Christopher Robin, you are once again playing, or something like that, or you're back.
Something to that
you're
extent,
back again,
yeah.
and you're playing. I think is what it was.
Back at it like a bad habit.
Mm-hmm. One of those moments that is just like pure joy, encapsulated into a movie for me. They all
again, just that the sense of whimsy and just the sense of joy that comes out of this entire experience, coupled with so I had this weird thing where I was watching this movie, but for whatever reason in the back of my head, I kept thinking like, my credit card is due on March 1st. Like, it's just that adulting, just that nagging feeling in the back of your head tries to creep in at moments. Mm-hmm. And you see that throughout this movie too, of like Christopher Robin letting loose, trying to be a kid again, essentially. But then like the real world tries as hard as it can to get its claws back into him and creep back in. And it's almost like cathartic to watch something like that when it's so relatable.
Yeah, sorry, you reminded me of an adult thing that I had to check.
Did you also have bills to pay today? Oh fuck, I gotta actually check that one bill. When that's
yeah, but those were all covered. Ironically enough, it's a kid thing, but an adult thing. I'm going to Disney in 3 months. I needed to check the day. I need to make reservations.
I still gotta book my flight for Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the shitty things you have to do to have fun sometimes.
I mean, I'm not having fun. I'm going for work.
Okay, well that sucks. I'm going to. Hey, fun enough. I'm also going to Orlando for work, but I'm just also going to Disney. Let's see here. Give me just a second. My camera has frozen.
Yes, it has.
Well, when in doubt, turn it off.
IT solution number 1, off and on again.
Okay.
He gone? He back? We good? Let's do it.
Fix the. Anyways, what we're talking about?
Adulting and that it sucks.
Right. So yeah, he finds everyone. He realizes he needs to find Pooh, and realizes that he knows exactly where Pooh is. Pooh is in the spot that they had said goodbye. He goes up and talks to them, and that's when we get the moment that absolutely shattered every bit of me as a human being. I don't think I'm ever going to emotionally recover from this scene.
Nope.
Yeah, he explains to Pooh, like, hey, I've grown up. I'm not who I am anymore. I'm sorry. I'm lost. And Pooh is very nice to him. He's like, I found you. You are still you. This is a very video game reference, so I'm not entirely sure everyone's going to get it. But have you played Undertale?
Dabbled. I haven't finished it.
There's a great moment at the beginning of the game. You look in a mirror, and like the text prompt for it is, "It's you."
Yeah,
and then
that
near the
much
end
I got.
then near the very end of the game, you have another mirror, and the prompt says, "Despite everything you've gone through, it's still you."
Oh, that's fantastic.
And it's little things like that of like I love it so much. It's one of those things that will always hit and always break me. Anyways, yeah, they have this great moment. He says goodbye to everybody, and rushes out of the 100-acre wood to head back to London to try to make it to his presentation after falling asleep for the night. On his way out of there, despite very much trying to disappear, he does get caught by Madeline, and has to disappoint her.
I mean, it had to happen.
At which point,
Father of the Year, everybody, Christopher Robin.
Not before tying the red balloon though on the bike, which was very sweet. It would have gone great if he had not gotten caught. But yeah, he gets caught there, and Evelyn tells him, "I think we're gonna stay at the cottage for a lot longer.
A while."
Mm-hmm. Like, you got to get your shit together, man. You really need to quit." He heads back to London. While there, Pooh discovers that Tigger got rid of all of Christopher Robin's paperwork and is tying it all up to Eeyore.
Tigger's just a menace. I'm kind of here for it, though. Like, someone has to fight the establishment. Right?
That has always been Tigger's role. Tigger has always been the menace. Yeah. But they decide that, okay, they got to get it back for him. They take off while Madeline is playing out around after her mom and finally sent her out to play. They decide to go on an excursion to London, as they keep saying.
London.
It goes really, really well for them. They're doing she is doing a much better job than Christopher Robin was of getting there. But she takes off, eventually Evelyn following her after reading the message. They go through their own trials and tribulations on that, eventually getting into a taxi that crashes after he sees stuffed animals talking, then hiding in chests that are heading to Winslow Enterprises.
Which, hold on, we didn't get to one of the most important cameos in this film. Because when the taxi driver crashes and you see that dude from Pirates of the Caribbean with the fake goddamn eye, like, hey, I know that guy. That's that guy from Pirates of the Caribbean.
I did not recognize that guy. But I'm glad one of us did.
My brain's weird sometimes.
Yeah, mine is too. I just didn't. I was really tired from watching this movie. Also,
I was going to say, it was like my third attempt at watching it. I was wide awake.
Also, that scene, I was still crying from the earlier scene.
That's also fair.
Anyways, yeah, they go off. Eventually, Evelyn comes down and meets up with Christopher, who had just absolutely bombed his presentation. After learning that, Giles did jack shit.
And because none of his papers were there, and Giles was off fucking golfing all weekend.
Yeah.
And kind of rubbed it in his face.
Yeah. But yeah, she meets him at the workplace and
the office.
At the office, and he walks out of the meeting to go find Madeline. Eventually,
he gets his priorities fucking straight.
Yeah. Eventually, they're following them, and Tigger, Eeyore, and Piglet get launched onto their car, which is wonderfully hilarious. That all happens. Madeline eventually trips, losing all the papers, and that's when Christopher Robin shows up. And we kind of get all this conversation of like, no, Madeline is super important to him. He had told everybody in the 100-acre woods, but now Madeline is really learning from it. And we kind of get this moment of like, hey, Madeline, you don't have to go to boarding school. He
realizes he's making the same mistake his parents did, and doesn't want her to be him, essentially.
Yeah. Madeline gives him the one paper she was able to get, and with that, and with this conversation between him and his family, he has an idea to save the company. Rushes back to Winslow Jr. just being a shithead in this
Just
meeting,
whiffing his dad's questions because
whiffing
he
everything.
didn't actually work on this.
Actually advocating to fire everybody.
Well, not advocating. It happened. The entire department got laid off.
Yeah. He rushes in there to throw out this idea of like, hey, look, you have your luggage. You're currently only selling luggage to the highest, the elitist of the elite. What if we flip this on it? You give your employees actual vacation time. You give them paid vacations, which everyone should get. I really wish that was constitutionally required. Sorry, American politics.
I was going to say, up here it is. Like, even the part-time jobs I've had were legally required to pay vacation pay in lieu of giving days off.
Yeah, we get...
Because it was part-time.
We get sick time. That's it.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Oh, yeah, it sucks down here. Anyways, yeah, give your employees paid leave. Reduce the prices of your luggage, and you will be able to start selling luggage to significantly more people in across the divides of making money, wealth. The divides of wealth. There we go.
Yeah,
Winslow Jr.
Go
immediately
from selling to the uber wealthy to everybody.
The Nepo baby immediately starts being like a hoity-toity rich fuck. That was the point where if it was any other movie, I would have wanted him to get punched in the face so badly. But this is a Winnie the Pooh movie, so obviously we can't do that.
Yeah.
But Giles Winslow Sr. actually is like, okay, that's actually kind of an interesting idea here. Also, while all this is happening, Christopher finally stands up for himself, also calling the Winslow Jr. a woozle, which is just wonderful. And then the dad...
It shouldn't work as well as it does, but it does.
I think it only works because the dad goes in on it with him. It's like, I don't know what a woozle is, but you certainly are one.
You're certainly acting that way.
And then this ends with everybody, the entire department going on vacation.
At the beach.
But yeah, everyone goes off on vacation, and they're all super happy about it. Giles less so. And it ends with Christopher Robin and his family taking everyone back to the 100 Acre Woods, and them all having a picnic, and him and Pooh wearing matching shirts, and it's very sweet.
It was
wonderful.
Adorable. Yeah.
And that is it. 48 hours later, bitch, we have finished this podcast.
This is probably the hardest episode of this show we've ever had to record. Just because of the fucking logistics of it.
The logistics, but also the content of the movie, I think. This is admittedly one of the harder movies for me to watch just because of the emotions of it. But
it can trigger certain anxieties in folks that are overworked. And if you start feeling that way after listening to us or watching this film, if you have access to it, seek out professional help to try and work through those issues. We cannot do that for you. We are not therapists. Do seek out a trained licensed therapist.
Yeah, we are just idiots on the internet. Who have our own shit that we'd have to deal with. Like, we're all human. We all get it. So yeah, go seek help if you need it. But that is where this episode ends. Obviously, we think go watch this movie. Mitch, if people want to keep up with us, where can people find us?
All over the internet, any social platform you want to find us on at D+Us. Best place to find video content and regular content is at youtube.com/@D+Us. And on your favorite podcast service of choice. If you're there on the iTunes or the Spotify's, if you can leave that 5-star rating saying how much you love Griffin and tolerate me, it's very much appreciated.
We all know it's the opposite. Yeah, go check that out. Go check out some of our other episodes. Our last episode was on Treasure Planet, like I mentioned at the top of the show. And we've got some very fun ones coming up for you soon. So go keep an eye out for those. But that is all in the future. So until then, have a magical day.